I've built a new floor, half of a new floor, to cover the transfer case. I have some blocks and boxes and things underneath the seat, but this is a standard size for a race seat. It's actually an old Civic seat, but I fit in the car. I'm sitting in the right position, and I have enough room for my feet. I can reach the shifter, the steering wheel. So even with this gigantic console in the car, I have enough room to sit. I will build a bracket setup for the race seat. I will likely get an OMP FIA approved seat. That way I can do any kind of racing I want. The car is going to get a roll cage. So part of the install of the new floor included putting in plates where the roll cage hoops, the front hoop or the windshield hoop, down bars, and where the main hoop will attach. The floor is very heavy, and I did that on purpose. On the driver's side, it is 3/16 inch plate steel. On the passenger side, it's 1/8 inch. I did that for two reasons. One, it's easy, and two, it'll act as a scatter shield. The motor is going to make about 3 times as much power as the transmission ever saw in original configuration. It's a Tremec T56. It is not a TR6060. It is not a T56 Magnum. It's just a standard Corvette C5, C6 T56. I am going to upgrade synchros and all the other stuff that goes along with that. It probably will not live at 1,000+ horsepower, and I will probably have to get a TR6060 and do the same type of adapting that I did with the T56. The transfer case should be good. People use this Trailblazer SS transfer case making 1,000 horsepower. They don't seem to have any problems. Yes, even though there's a huge amount of stuff in the car now, there's still enough room for me to sit. It's still comfortable. I'm still at the right driving position. I have moved the seat back a little bit further, and that is only because of where I'm going to install the pedals. I am not going to do a firewall mounted brake setup. I'm going to do an underfloor rally style reverse mount where the master cylinders are on the floor under a plate. The reservoirs for the master cylinders will be in the engine bay, but the cylinders will be underneath my feet under a plate. So my feet will be up a little bit. That is all right because the new structural part of the floor had to be up higher to give me room for the exhaust system and for the driver's side front drive shaft. The minimum floor clearance where my feet go is still at the standard location, but I'm going to move the floor up so that my feet are even with the new structural metal that I put in to cover the drive shaft. So all in, my feet are going to be about 3 inches higher up than normal. My seat is about 2 inches higher than normal, but it still sits lower than in my 2003 Outback. Here's the passenger side floor. To make things easy and strong and straight, I used some 2" by 2" angle iron. It is a cheat, but it is the same thickness as the floor plate I'm using, and I will fully weld it inside and out, and it will provide adequate structural strength to the floor of the car. I'm using a thicker plate than most people think would be necessary, but I do not have high confidence that this transmission will never explode. And the other option that I have is to use a scatter shield, but that will only protect the flywheel bell housing area of the car, and I'd rather have the entire transmission and transfer case shielded from the driver's compartment to protect me. The plan is to use a 5" exhaust. I am going to build my own pipe. I'm going to use mild steel. I am doing that because 5" diameter exhaust pipe in stainless steel is $30-some a foot. I don't know if I am going to like the exhaust. I may want to rebuild it. I have a ring roller, I have a sheet metal brake, and I am going to get a slip roller so I can make all this pipe myself. But here's a piece of 5-inch. I am going to use a slightly different shape. It's going to be oval where it comes through the firewall. I have cut all the way back to the frame rail, and I have cut as much out of the rear suspension mount as I could get away with, I think. And I put some 1/4-inch plate on the inside, fully welded it in. I'm going to drill some holes and put some plug welds. There are 2 plug welds under here that are on top of the factory plug welds. Oddly enough, they are plug welded in, but they put a piece of finishing sheet metal over it to hide the plug welds, but it is plug welded from the factory. So I just copied what was there and went stronger. So my exhaust is going to come through the firewall here and go over the rear suspension mount in the body and go down underneath here. And leaving the factory rear suspension mounting point is a design compromise that I did not really want to make, because I want to be able to drop the engine, transmission, transfer case, and exhaust all out as one piece. I am going to mount the exhaust to the engine and transmission until I get to the transfer case, and then I'll have a bellows or a flex joint, if you prefer that term, and then from there back it'll be mounted to the chassis. But everywhere in here I'm going to use factory bolt holes to mount my exhaust, so I'll have brackets that'll hold everything exactly where I want it. And this means that there's not a lot of room for the passenger's feet, but the reason I'm doing it this way is I have a starter here and I have a front drive shaft, so going low on the exhaust ahead of the transmission is not really an option. So I flipped my manifold upside down so that I could put the exhaust straight through here, so I can go directly from my turbo outlet to a 5-inch and run 5-inch all the way to the very back of the car, and then split it to go into 2 smallish 3-inch or 3.5-inch inlet outlet mufflers. My turbo is going to be mounted up here. The inlet is going to go straight out into the fender well. The 2 exhausts will come together about here, and then the exhaust will exit the turbo and go right through here. And this is a 5-inch nominal pipe. It's 5-inch outer, not 5-inch inner, in case you guys are that nerdy about stuff. 5-inch exhaust will fit through here, but I made enough room all the way through here to where my 5-inch exhaust will fit, and then right where it goes through the firewall at the very back of the block, I will ovalize the pipe so it'll still have the same area, but the pipe itself will be slightly pinched. Here's the transfer case floor cover. I had to build it this way to make sure that nothing would interfere with the transfer case operation, and since the widest part of the drivetrain is the rear of the transfer case, there's a little bit of irregularity in the floor shape, but I did leave enough room that the passenger will still have some room for their feet. Of course, this isn't finished, it's just all tack welded together. I thought I would need this much floor clearance for the front drive shaft, but after fitting a mock-up pipe for the drive shaft, I decided I don't really need this much space. So from here forward, I am going to remove this upper piece of angle iron, so this line right here will be my new floor height, and it will go in as close as I can get to the transmission and then come straight vertical up. So this part is going to get remade. The reason is that I need some more space for my feet up here, and I don't need it here, but I need it here, but I'd like everything to be uniform and look the same. So I'm going to just take off this top piece of angle iron ahead of the transfer case and transmission mount. The way I made this transmission mount is I took a factory Subaru piece and I reused it. And the reason I did that is that I can get bushings from Subaru or the aftermarket bushing suppliers to replace these if I need. So if the rubber is too soft and allows everything to move around, I can take it out and I can put in a polyurethane bushing or a Delrin or even you know, do a solid mount with a bolt where I can still take it off. I don't anticipate that much driveline movement at all. My front engine mounts are relatively thick and will have some play in them, so to reduce the motion back in this part, I went with smaller rubber in the bushings themselves. And I'm still going to do a transfer case mount in the back that'll be underneath the car, and it's not going to be aligned front to rear, it's going to be aligned side to side, and it's going to be for up and down movement. 5 mounts in the drivetrain, it shouldn't move around at all. So it fits relatively good, still plenty of leg room length. So once I change this and move my floor line in here, I'll have plenty of width. And my pedals are going to mount around here. I am going to not need most of this space up here, and since I'm not going to have pedals up there, it's going to give me room to rework my heat and AC system. So the heat and AC are still going to work, but they're going to be separate systems. So I'll put in normal old style knobs and switches to turn them on and off, but heat will be on this side, AC will be on this side, and they'll be completely separate. So each one will have a blower fan, which is redundant and adds a little bit of weight. It's better to have heat and AC than none, and having them as 2 separate systems means I don't need as much space in any given area. So I can split them and have them be small and still fit under the dash. Another reason I'm going to remake this piece right here is I think I can use the factory console. Even though this is all substantially larger than original, I think I can use at least the front part of the console to maybe here, and then remake an actual console that'll go over this and have cup holders. So even though it's going to be 1,000 horsepower all-wheel drive V8, it will have cup holders and a radio, because you know, because I can and I will. So thanks for watching my project update.